sequence that I'll be using for this, I'll go to the front of the engine here. I'm going to be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that order. So all of these, then all of these, those, just alternating. So first I'm just snugging them up pretty much to like just barely touch the face here. And then I'm just gonna slowly start walking them in until there's full contact between the cam tower and the rest of the head. Okay, so it looks like that is pretty much made it up all around. I can see a tiny bit of that sealant peeping out right there. I can clean that up later. All right there, looks like it's all flush. So I can now start torquing these down. So again, I'm just gonna start in do that same order. This row, then this row, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got 8 Newton meters ready to go here. Okay, I got all 23 torqued down, so now I'm just gonna go back over each one, just make sure that they're all good. And I'll start with my additional 90-degree turn for each one of them, and that'll complete this. Okay, this is me giving the final bolt its 90-degree turn. Okay, and I do recommend marking those. I put a yellow mark at the top of each one, so I know which one was torqued to its 90 degree and which one wasn't. Because 1, you don't want to miss any of them. 2, you don't want to do any of them twice because you'll probably strip one of these bolts. I want to keep this head as clean as I can, so I'm going to put the valve cover back on. Valve cover got a little dirty from sitting around, so I'm actually going to clean this off first. I'm going to pop that old gasket out. I have a new one right here. And there's the part number if you guys need it. Yeah, I might be doing a catch can, so I might have to take that part off as well. But for now, I'm just going to leave it there. I can deal with that later. Let's get this thing cleaned off. And this guy should pop right out pretty easily. Yeah. It's a really, really big gasket. Like, that thing's huge. One of those guys came out. Actually, it looks like they all have that little like washer thing in there. The washer's like on the other side of the gasket. Okay, I cleaned this off decently. I'm not gonna go crazy with it. Something cool about these bolts is that they have this little collar that actually goes through the gasket. Okay, so I got that gasket on. Got oil on the whole thing. Okay, so all those are ready to go. I'm just gonna grab my spark plugs and just throw them back in. Then I'll throw this on. I forgot how bad my spark plugs looked, so I'm actually not gonna reuse these. I'll just go grab my new ones, and I'm probably gonna have to re-gap them. I've never done that before. Okay, so I got my new spark plugs here, my BKR8 EIXs. And yeah, actually before I was running BKR7s from the previous owner. So I did need to replace these anyway, I believe. Look at that pretty little spark plug. Let's see what the gap is on this. Originally, I'm pretty sure these are gapped to like 30 thousandths, pretty sure. So let me grab these feeler gauges, see what that's at right now. Actually, I can stick it right in here. This might be a little bit tricky to do with one hand. Yeah, it's right at like 30 thousandths. 30, 31, somewhere around there. Yeah, I need to bring that down a lot. I'm going to use APR's Stage 3 kit specs. They want you to be at 22 thousandths, plus or minus 2 thousandths. These are the same plugs that they recommend using. So I'm just going to try to hit this a little bit gently. Let's measure that now, see how much of a difference that made. It's now at like 23, I think. Let's see. These will probably be more precise to use these feeler gauges. Just gapped all four to as close as I can get to 22 thousandths of an inch. So using these feeler gauges, the 22 thousandths fits in all four of them, and the 24 thousandths doesn't fit in any of them. So I am definitely right in that range. So they're all smaller than 24, but slightly bigger than 22. So I'm within spec of where I want to be. So if any of you guys haven't done this before, what you do is you really just have to like basically hit this down, like smush it down. So you can just take it like this and just hit it on the table. Just give it a few good hits. This right here will come down, and then you can stick your feeler gauge in there, see if it goes in there. And then if you actually make it too small and you have to make it the gap bigger, then you can stick it in one of these tools and you can just pry it back open. So I can just try to show you real quick. So you would just like stick this in here like that. So the tip goes in right there, and then you can use this, push down on this part of the tool to pry that back up to widen the gap. You just got to go back and forth until you get the right gap. And since I just hit it a little bit and then stuck it in that tool, I'm just going to make sure that the 22 still fits snugly in there. There you go, so 22 is still nice and snug in there. Just want to make sure I didn't mess that up. I'm going to place each one of these nicely down in there instead of just dropping them right in. So to do that, I have this guy. There you go. Just to grab the bottom of it like that. Now I can nicely place that in there. Yeah, so I gotta clean the excess sealant still right there, but I also don't want that to get into the cylinder, so I'm gonna put this in first and then I'll get the excess sealant afterwards. Just trying to make sure I don't pick up the sealant on my way down. There we go, I'm good. And I can actually get this started with this tool. And you do not want to use anti-seize on these. I'm going to look up the torque specs for these in a second, and then I can finally get the valve cover on. And just like for the BKR7s, the 16mm deep works for the spark plugs. Okay, so the factory torque spec for the spark plugs is 25 Newton meters, or about 18 foot-pounds, a little bit more than 18 foot-pounds. So I got that set. And don't judge me, this is the only size extension that I haven't lost for 3/8. Okay, so I should be able to just do this with one hand actually. There we go. Alright, now I'm just going to double check each one. Okay, so those are all torqued down. So now I can finally go grab my valve cover and throw that on. Got all the bolts in place. I'm gonna grab, let's see if these are T30s. Yes, these are T30s. Start gently bringing all of these down into place. And you can see how thick that gasket is in there. Gigantic gasket. Might stick my coil packs in right now. My coil packs looked fine. I think they look okay. I think they were used for maybe like 10 or 15,000 miles. For the valve cover, you do want to just hand tighten these first, starting from the inside and working your way out. And then there's a specific sequence for actually torquing these down. And you're going to torque all these to 10 Newton meters. But you want to do it in the sequence that they lay out in the manual. So I actually just memorized this. It's not that hard to remember. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I would show you the diagram, but it's on my phone, so I can't actually show it to you because I'm recording off my phone. But you can just play that over. I gotta set my torque wrench. I'll get going with that. So here we go with the 10 Newton meters each. So again, starting with the middle one. Okay, so I don't really know what I'm looking at here with these coil packs. Don't really know if I should be reusing this or not, but I mean, they're running fine before, so I'm just gonna reinstall them for now. All right, I got all 4 of those in there. Okay, so now I can start focusing on the end cover over here. Before I get too ahead of myself, I should probably put that big hosing, that big piece of hosing in the front that connects right there and right here. And this is the one I'm talking about. Right here, this whole big mess right here. So yeah, I should probably do this first. And this goes right onto the front of the engine. And I do have a new gasket for right there. Pretty sure I took the AC compressor and the alternator off before I took that off, which means that doing it in the opposite order, I'm pretty sure I need to install this first, and then I can do the accessories. Okay, I'm gonna get the cam center out of this head, put it into the new one. It's just a T30 right here. So there's just one bolt in there. That should be able to come out. There's definitely a seal on there that's on there pretty good. And the thing does not want to come out. Oh, there it's going. Not sure why it was that hard. That sensor looks jacked up. There's a bunch of stuff on it. Thick oil buildup on that. I'm gonna clean this off before I put that back on. So yeah, I'm gonna go clean this up. I'll be right back. So the seal looks like it's seen better days, but I do not have a new one. So I'm just gonna put some fresh oil on this and reinstall it and maybe clean it up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, this is a really easy sensor to access once everything's installed again. It's right on the front of the engine. It's super easy to get out. You don't have to remove anything else to get it out. So I'm not gonna worry about it right now. But if it starts leaking oil, then that's when I'll start worrying about it. You could probably just snug that up, but I'm gonna do it by the book and tighten it to 10 Newton meters. And that is not the right bolt, because the one I took out had a T30 head, so I picked up the wrong bolt, and that's what I get for being completely unorganized over here. So that one's good to go.